It's no secret Australians love their utes, and these are some of the most popular: the Ford Ranger, Toyota HiLux and Holden Colorado. And this is the German interloper, the Volkswagen Amarok. It hasn't had much luck prying buyers away from its Asian rivals, but now the Germans have brought out the big guns. Underneath the bonnet is a 3-litre V6 turbo diesel that packs the most power and most torque in the class. So, will that be enough to finally make it a winner? In keeping with the modern taste for premium vehicles that are capable of both working and playing hard, we're testing the high-end models in their respective lineups. That means the Ford Ranger XLT, our reigning Drive Car of the Year Best Ute champion, the Toyota HiLux SR5, Australia's best-selling vehicle in 2016, the Holden Colorado Z71 that was updated in 2016, and the new Amarok V6 Highline. All are priced above $55,000 and come equipped with features that until recently would have been found only in premium passenger cars. Well, these may be more lifestyle utes these days. They've still got to be able to do some hard work. That's why we're loading them up with 500 kilograms of weight in the back to see how they handle it. Volkswagen has taken a simple approach with this updated version of the Amarok: brute force. The 3-litre turbo diesel V6 is the same unit found in the Porsche Cayenne and Audi Q7 and packs an impressive punch: 165 kilowatts of power and 550 newton metres of torque, which gives it a clear advantage over its rivals. On the road, you certainly can feel that power advantage. There's a real effortlessness to the engine, even with weight in the back. It just always feels like it's got more to give. It's a really impressive engine. It almost feels, dare I say, pretty sprightly for a ute. But, you know, there's more to the Amarok than just that. You know, it is actually a really well-handling ute. You know, this was the ute that made the others lift. They knew Volkswagen was coming, you know, and the bar got raised in the ute category. So, you know, the handling of this, while not an SUV, it's certainly a big step forward. You know, the steering is quite nice, the ride is quite nice with and without weight. You know, it's a really impressive and enjoyable car to drive. The interior presentation is also really top-notch. You know, it borrows very heavily from the rest of the Volkswagen, you know, passenger car range. So, you know, it feels, you know, premium, looks premium. Small item storage is pretty good. I mean, this is a really impressive ute. What that money doesn't buy you, though, are potentially life-saving rear curtain airbags. Only the front seat occupants are protected with airbags, the back seat are not. And quite frankly, in this day and age, when all of its major rivals offer that same level of protection, it should. Volkswagen has dropped the ball by not offering rear airbags. It's a big black mark on the Volkswagen scorecard. And quite frankly, it really makes you think twice about whether this is the kind of car that you want to put your family and friends in the backseat on a regular basis. Power doesn't come cheap, and the Amarok is the most expensive of the 4 utes we're testing here, with a starting price of $59,990. But that does buy you plenty of gear, including 18-inch alloys, stainless steel side steps, a sports bar, and Volkswagen's smartphone-capable infotainment system. The Ranger is a rare success story for Ford in recent years. The big ute has replaced the Falcon and become the brand's best-selling model. And with good reason. It is an excellent ute that sets the benchmarks in many respects. Its ability to combine serious capability with an impressive driving experience and a well-appointed cabin has seen it win Drive's Best Ute Award for the past 2 years. Under the bonnet is a 3.2-litre 5-cylinder turbo diesel that produces 147 kilowatts and 470 newton metres. While it may not have the raw power to match the Amarok, the Ranger certainly doesn't feel slow. It's got more than enough grunt to get this thing moving with or without a load in the back, and it's more than a match for the Amarok in the way that it drives. Its on-road manners are really quite impeccable for a dual-cab ute that, you know, is still capable of taking big weight in the back, still capable of going off-road, still capable of towing a lot. I mean, this is a really capable car, but also a really easy car to live with in and around the city. The ride is quite comfortable. It actually does a good job of soaking up the bumps in the road, and the steering is really well sorted for a ute. You know, it doesn't feel big and heavy and cumbersome like you expect a dual cab ute to. They've really improved it. It's not quite an SUV, but it's certainly much closer, a lot like the Amarok. Priced from just over $57,000, the XLT sits just below the top of the Ranger lineup, beneath the Wild Track. But it's still a very well-equipped vehicle with 17-inch alloy wheels, navigation, and Ford's latest Sync 3 infotainment system. It isn't hard to see why the Toyota HiLux is Australia's favourite ute. Over the years, it has earned a reputation for toughness, but more recently has added a level of refinement and sophistication to its arsenal. It's powered by a 2.8-litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel that is the least potent of this quartet, but still produces a respectable 130 kilowatts and 450 newton metres. It may not beat the Amarok in a drag race, but for pretty much any realistic job you want to do with your ute, whether that be for work or for play, the HiLux will take care of business. This generation of HiLux has improved out of sight from the old model. The ride and handling is now much better. It does get a little jittery over bumps, particularly without a load in it. Can sort of tend to get a little unsettled in the back. Certainly feels a bit more tied down once you put some weight in the back end. But all in all, it's actually a much more pleasant ute to drive than it has been in the past. What does lag behind its rivals in this contest is perhaps the presentation. You know, we're in the top of the range model, and this has got the optional leather seats, which is a nice touch. But overall, just the design of the cabin is very busy. There's a lot of materials being used. You know, it certainly breaks it up, and it looks, you know, a bit more classy and sophisticated than you expect a normal ute to look, but perhaps not on par with its rivals here that have, I guess, a more cohesive design that border on an SUV. Having said that, the space in the cabin is actually pretty good. So it's really no surprise this is such a popular ute. The SR5 comes well spec'd with 18-inch alloys, keyless entry and ignition, navigation and a reversing camera, all included in the $56,490 asking price. Holden updated the Colorado in 2016, introducing a number of improvements after struggling to keep up with the Toyota and Ford in the sales race. A retuned chassis and suspension setup, along with changes to the drivetrain, have certainly made a positive impact on the ute. The engine is the same 2.8-litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel format as in the HiLux, but produces 147 kilowatts to match the Ranger, and 500 newton metres, which is second only to the V6 Volkswagen in terms of torque. The engine feels strong on the road. It pulls really well from right down low in the rev range, so it feels, you know, not too far off the pace of the Amarok. Also, the big change that they've made with this midlife update was to improve the refinement of it. There's new engine and transmission mounts to get rid of a lot of vibration that plagued the old model. This midlife update also brought changes under the skin where the Holden engineers played with the suspension, so the ride and handling is actually a lot better too. You know, it now feels not too far off the Ranger and Amarok in terms of how it drives. You know, the steering is maybe a little bit heavier and a little bit slower to react, more like what you're accustomed to in a big ute. But you know, it's a big improvement. And again, the cabin is a nice step up as well. You know, a lot of the buttons and the MyLink system is carried over from the rest of Holden's range, so it has a bit more of an upmarket feel. One thing that has frustrated us about the cabin is Holden's decision to drop the window when you close the door. It doesn't always go back up, which is a little frustrating and surprising that they still have not managed to find a permanent fix for that problem. But overall though, you know, the Z71 with its leather seats, its presentation outside, you know, it actually feels like a pretty premium ute and, dare I say, sensible family car. The Z71 tops the Colorado range, so there's plenty of gear included in the $57,300 asking price, including 18-inch alloys, sports bar, side rails, Z71 graphics, a soft tonneau cover, and Holden's MyLink infotainment system. Uniquely, it is the only one of these utes that gets forward collision warning and lane departure warning included as standard. As for how our group rated with the load in the tray, the order was clear. The Ford and Volkswagen had no trouble with 500 kilograms in the back. The Ranger felt the most stable and settled, but the Amarok wasn't far behind. The Toyota rode well enough, but the engine laboured slightly with the extra weight. The lack of trainliner is also a disappointment, with our relatively new test HiLux already showing plenty of signs and wear and tear in the back. But it was the Holden that struggled the most. While the engine had little trouble with the load, the same couldn't be said for the tray. Unlike its rivals that have between 4 and 6 tie-down points spread across the tray, the Colorado only has 2. And they are located at the rear, near the tailgate, which made it very difficult to secure the load. Picking a winner ultimately isn't that difficult, even though all 4 of these utes are excellent examples of how far the dual cab has come in terms of refinement. But the Ford Ranger is still the best ute money can buy in our opinion. It's a great blend of comfort, practicality, dynamics and capability. Splitting the other 3 though is a much harder task. If you can look past its safety shortcomings, then there's a lot to like about the Volkswagen. Aside from its powerful engine, it rides and handles almost as well as the Ranger, and the cabin is nicely presented. However, it's also the tightest in the back, and the ownership costs are the most expensive here. The Toyota may not be the most powerful or the nicest to drive, but it does do everything you expect from a ute. And the Holden arguably offers up the most luxuries of this quartet, but falls short in some key areas. Most notably, the lack of tie-down points in the tray means this is more of a show pony than a workhorse.